Well, for now, the guns are mostly silent, and officials call it a ceasefire. But in the Middle East today, this calm feels less like peace and more like a short break in a very dangerous fight. One wrong move in the skies over Iran, one clash in the sea at the Strait of Hormuz, or one rocket fire from Lebanon could be enough to drag the region back into a full-scale war. But behind the scenes, war plans have not been shelved. They have been updated and openly discussed. Israel says its military is ready to strike Iran again, with targets already picked out and pilots prepared. Iran is flexing its muscle in key shipping lanes, boarding and seizing ships to show it will not back down. The United States, meanwhile, is tightening its naval presence and has sent a third aircraft carrier to the waters not far from Iran, putting thousands of American troops and dozens of warplanes within the striking distance. Now, all of this together raises a direct and worrying question. Are we looking at the end of a war, or simply the calm before a more dangerous second round? Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz has issued one of the toughest statements yet about Iran. Speaking during a security briefing at the Defense Ministry, he said Israel is prepared to renew the war against Iran and that the Israel Defense Forces are ready in defense and offense and the targets are already marked. Well, Katz did not speak in vague language. He said Israel is just awaiting a green light from the United States before launching a new offensive aimed first at completing the elimination of Khomeini dynasty and then at striking Iran so hard it would be pushed back to the Dark Age and the Stone Age. According to him, the plan is to focus on Iran's energy and electricity network and what he called the national economic infrastructure, in other words, the system that keeps the country running. He also added that if the war resumes, the attack will be different and deadly, promising devastating blow in the most painful places that would shake the foundations of the Iranian regime. Now, interestingly, his comments come as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to gather top security officials to review the Iran file and tensions with Lebanon, a sign that high-level war planning is very much alive. Now, taken together, Katz's words show that Israel is not only thinking about another round of strike, it said it already knows where it will hit, how it will hit, and what it wants to achieve if the war resumes. Now, even as Israel talks about marked targets, Katz makes clear that one key step is still missing: formal approval from the Washington. Israel's message is that the IDF is ready, but the timing and political cover for a renewed strike will depend heavily on the United States. The US, for its part, is sending strong signal of its own. A third American aircraft carrier, USS George H.W. Bush, has arrived in waters close to Iran, joining the other US naval forces in the wider region. This deployment brings thousands of more American troops, carrier-based fighter jets, surveillance aircraft, and support ships into the conflict zone, giving Washington the power to either join the new strikes on Iran or provide direct backing to Israeli operations. Now, at the same time, the US is enforcing a tough naval blockade that targets ships it links to the Iranian oil exports. Washington says it has boarded and redirected dozens of vessels since the blockade began, tightening economic pressure on Tehran even while the ceasefire on direct strikes hold. In this particular context, Israel's insistence that it is waiting for a green light underlines how closely its next moves are tied to the US strategy. The American buildup at sea suggests that if that green light is given, the military tools for a rapid escalation are already in place. Officially, the war that began earlier this year when the US and Israel launched major strikes on Iran is paused under a ceasefire agreed in April. In fact, US President Donald Trump has extended this ceasefire, saying he wants to create more space for talks, even as he boasts that the US has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. Now, just like the United States, Iran is also not acting like a country at peace. It has seized commercial ships, broadcasting images of masked commandos boarding vessels it says tried to pass the Strait of Hormuz without any permission. Now, Tehran has slowed traffic through this vital waterways, which carries about a fifth of world's oil and gas, and has warned it will not fully reopen it unless the US lift what Iran calls an illegal blockade. Well, on the US side, officials say they have redirected more than 30 ships since the blockade started, framing this as enforcement of sanctions and maritime security. Now, both sides are using Hormuz as a pressure point, testing how far they can push without triggering a total breakdown of the ceasefire. So now the biggest question, does all this mean the war will resume soon? Well, the honest answer is that the risk is high, but nothing is confirmed. Israel's leadership says it is ready to strike and has already chosen its target. The US has positioned powerful forces close to Iran and continues to squeeze Tehran at the sea. On the flip side, Iran is also seizing ships and refusing to bow to pressure while keeping its own options open. Now, if talks collapse, or if a single deadly incident at sea or along the Lebanon front is seen as a red line by either side, the fragile ceasefire could quickly give way to a new and possibly more destructive phase of Iran war.